problems with Riley in the past and shit, which fucked up, whatever. But, you know, I'm trying to move past all that shit. At the end of the day, what Riley did here was pretty cool, and this is problematic, so we're gonna go ahead and get into that too. And then last but not least, we got this account that I found called Peak Trans. I originally saw it because they made a rebuttal video to Riley Grace, and it popped up in my recommended. I was like, what the fuck? And then so I clicked on this. I thought it was a trans woman, and then they started using he, him pronouns, and I very quickly was like, okay, wait, okay, I see what this is. So yeah, so this is a turf. Not only is it a turf, it's a turf from the UK, and we know how British turfs are. So yeah, so there's a whole heap of a lot to go over here. There's a lot. So we will, especially this playlist. So we're gonna have fun with this one. This is one of those that you can have fun with. But I wanted to start with this so that you can see how problematic and how dangerous this person really is to the well-being of trans people, especially trans women. It seems like most of their attacks are against trans women, which is weird because they are a detransition trans men. So you would think that they'd go after men, but no, they fucking hate trans women. They dated a few trans women, so that's obviously where the resentment comes from. But, you know, we're gonna get right into this shit.
Hey guys, Maritza here. I'm about to read a letter that it's going to be difficult to read because it reminds me of my childhood traumas. But I believe the letter is very important and it needs to be taken in with an open mind and understanding that the reason I'm doing this is to try to help people so they could break free.
Okay, I mean, it's obviously not to help people, but let's give them a fucking chance, okay?
Most people don't understand that what they're doing is not conducive to their health, emotional, physical, and spiritual. You guys are just as much of a victim. I mean, most people think that transitioning, living in the LGBT lifestyle is some sort of salvation when it's all the contrary.
Here's the thing, is that you're putting too much on one thing. Transition is a single aspect of life. It shouldn't be a salvation for you. You know what I mean? Transitioning could definitely help with a lot of things, and 100%, like, it could put you in a better place, and it can change your life completely for the better, like big life changes. But looking at this like as your saving grace is not a healthy way to look at anything. Nothing on this planet you should look at like that. You know what I mean? There's everything together. The core of doing well starts with like loving yourself. You have to love yourself, and you have to know why you want to love yourself for anything to fucking matter in this planet. So that's obviously, you can see that's a bad intent right here, and this person will project their bad intents and their bad reasons for transitioning onto every trans person, which is insane. Like, how are you painting a broad brush of people that everybody transitions for this reason? That's such a fucking stupid way to talk.
When you really open up Pandora's box and understand what the whole agenda is about, not only will you get repulsed, I mean, I would hope that you would have that kind of emotion towards it and not continue to support it and not continue to live by it, because it's wrong on all counts and all levels. Anyway, I won't keep you much longer because the letter is pretty long.
So that was a whole minute 29 of priming this person's transphobic audience to understand that the trans community is bad, right? So they're saying all these terrible things and these intentions, and there's an agenda, and that it's harmful to the well-being, and it's not a salvation, and people try to use it as such. They're priming their audience to think these things, because then they're going to go ahead and read a very extreme, isolated situation from a Dominatrix who has their position on what they think about trans people from working as a dominatrix, okay, and working with CDs who later transition. And the arguments being made here are going to be that this is every trans woman. So I want you to understand that that was priming, and then now we're gonna read some extreme ass shit that doesn't apply to like 90% of trans women.
Um, I'm going to try to keep it as PG as possible, spelling out certain letters instead of like saying the word, just to have less of a violent impact. I know it was hard for me to read, so I'm going to try to make it as PG as possible, and as smooth as possible. The individual calls themselves Lady Liberty. They want to keep their identity, autonomous for various reasons.
Well, because they're a fucking trans hub and they're spewing hate. If you were out here spewing anti-Semitism, you might want to keep your shit private too, unless if you want to be fucking hurt or harassed, you know? Yeah, I'm not surprised.
She's an Dominatrix. She writes, Dear Maritza, I think your audience can benefit from what I have to say if they listen with an open mind. Here is the letter of what I want to say to you and your viewers about my experience in the LGBT plus culture. I am writing this long letter to share some of my many experiences in the New York's LGBT plus culture over the years, and why I have left in the hopes it helps others, the way your story and videos have helped me. It is such a liberating feeling to exit this community and culture I couldn't see lifted off me as I was realizing what was really going on under the rainbow.
Okay, now this person seems to be conflating two things. It seems like what they really didn't like was being a dominatrix and being part of that sort of lifestyle, that sort of culture. But they're taking that and making it LGBT culture. They're fetishizing all LGBT people and sexualizing all LGBT people. You ever heard of like a fucking asexual person? Because there's asexual trans people and gay people and all sorts of shit. I mean, I don't know if an asexual person would be gay. I guess there's attraction. You could still be asexual. I'm not the most versed in that. But you can already see that this is another person that acts like Maritza. Anecdotal, paint shit with a wide brush. And it's just, it's nothing. Like, it's absolutism. It's nothing intelligent because there's so many people once again. Like, you don't know, even if you were involved in the LGBT community outside of being a dominatrix, like, I'm involved. I make fucking YouTube videos. I don't fucking know all LGBT people. Like, that's insane.
And that's exactly it. You know, when you're living the lifestyle, you don't realize. You're so engrossed in it. You don't understand what it all represents. The fantasy world I was in was no longer fun, no longer satisfying, and all a game in the end I didn't want to play anymore.
Okay, so if you view the LGBT community as being in a fantasy land, it is gonna fucking not be fun anymore, because fantasy, you always gotta come back to reality. However, like, when I wake up every day and I be myself and shit and I take my hormones and everything, that's not a fucking fantasy, that's real life, and I'm doing something to better myself, right? So, I don't conflate these two.
And I can relate with that completely. So, what was my part of this community? Well, B, D, S, M is what it was, as well.
Okay, so right there, like I said, this person begins the letter talking about how they had to leave the LGBT community because it's terrible. What was their part in the community? They were a fucking dominatrix. So that's like a very extreme portion of the community, which is not even just all LGBT. Fucking BDSM isn't strictly LGBT. It's fucking straight people do that shit too. You know? Like, oh my god. Like, they're gonna fucking go on to talk about how all LGBT people are terrible because they were a dominatrix. Like, what the fuck are you saying? That makes no sense.
Well as knowing LGBT plus people in my other jobs over the years. B, D, S, M is a big part of the LGBT plus culture.
Maybe that was your perspective because it was a big part for you because it was your profession. However, I don't fucking do that shit, you know what I mean? Like, me and my boyfriend, we might do some shit in the bedroom, but that's like private shit. I don't do that like community shit. There's like a BDSM community. I'm not even into like BDSM though. But anyways, like, it's just fucking mind-boggling. It's how the fuck can you think like, oh, I'm here being a dominatrix. Look at all these gay people. It must be a huge part of the fucking community. Like, no, dumbass.
As a heterosexual, biological woman that's worked as a Dominatrix, this is how I was a part of the LGBT culture for years.
The spelling is gonna fucking get to me. Like, this bitch has to spell it all because their new fan base is like super hardcore Christians. I will get mad that if they say these words even in context. Oh my goodness, the spelling, the like, why do you space it so much? The LGBT, like, bitch, LGBT. Speak up, speak a little faster, okay? I mean, I might have to fucking speed this bitch up. You know, I'm gonna have to speed this bitch up because it's fucking dumb as hell. Alright, I'm gonna put it 1.5 or should I do 1.25? Let's see.
I know straight people are into it too, but in my professional role.
Alright, that's a little too fast, so we're gonna do 1.25.
It is a totally different experience to those playing in the bedrooms, as well as the role in my other jobs. I've worked with LGBT people and know some in my personal life. I've been surrounded by the GLBT people for over 20 years. I couldn't
Hold on, this shit's completely fucking up. Let me play it back, because, like, the mouth and everything is just, it doesn't, I don't know. It just completely fucked everything up. Let me just, alright, there we go, we're good.
take it anymore. I saw enough, and I would say I am 100% out of the culture, even though I live somewhere with many LGBT plus people around my area. As a professional,
It's not, now it's neighborhood went to shit, not because the blacks, but because the gays nowadays.
DOM, and I'm not going to spell the rest, and you all know what I'm talking about. I dealt with a lot of bi, SEXUAL, men, SEXUALLY, attracted to pre-op trans women, and straight men into KINK.
Oh my stars.
After my many years in the world, I wanted out of this lifestyle and culture. I had enough. I was over it. I have seen too much crazy things of a SEXUAL nature. There is nothing about it that is endearing.
Well, shit. If you work as a dominatrix in the BDSM community, I bet you would see a lot of crazy ass sexual shit. You know, that's kind of like a part of working the job. That's like being a fucking cop and being like, oh my God, I've seen the craziest shit in the streets of Chicago. Like, oh my God, you're a cop. Wow, I'm not surprised. Would you take your experience being a fucking police officer and then conflate that with, like, this is how all people are? No, of course not. Because being a cop, that's like extreme situations. Every day you're going into the worst situation. Every day you're dealing with like crazy shit that doesn't typically happen. So if your perspective of the LGBT community is that of a dominatrix and you're saying I saw the most crazy sexual shit from gay people and I couldn't take it, I had to fucking leave. Like, that is so dumb. That is just such a dumb way of thinking, you know?
Glamorous or enticing to me anymore. I walked down that road, had a lot of life lessons, and don't want to go back. Once you get over the glamour of the corsets, the boots, the makeup, the gifts, the money, there's nothing spiritual at all about it.
Okay, so are we talking about LGBT people or are we talking about the BDSM community? Because this letter wasn't about why I left the BDSM community. It's why fucking all LGBT people, mainly trans women, are perverted fucking fetishists. All right, let me see this comment. Hey, what's up, Dr. Andy? I've seen you commenting a lot on my channel. I really appreciate the support, and I hope you enjoy this. We're just watching this crazy bitch try to tell us that all trans women are fetishists and AGPers. It is insane, so I hope you can handle it, because I'm about to lose my shot.
Nothing truly beautiful as a professional DOM. I would describe it like this. It's like watching a Hollywood fantasy movie about a mystical world, thinking it a documentary and somewhere real. Nothing is real about that world. It's gross once you get into the deeper layers. Some DOMs take the job too seriously and believe they truly are glorious, all powerful, and some sort of goddess. But it's just a client paying for a fantasy.
We get it already. You don't like fucking, you don't like being a dominatrix. You don't like BDSM. It's not for you. Move on. Live and let live. Do you not get that? Do you not fucking understand that? Or because you don't like it, does it have to not work for everyone? Like, is that how our narcissist thinks? Like, I'm honestly asking, is this, like, narcissism, like, because it's fucking retarded. Like, I'm sorry I said the R slur, but it just makes me so mad. Like, you have an issue of BDSMism or whatever. How the fuck are you gonna say that, oh, now I don't like LGBT people because of that? What?
The DOMs and the submissive men fully into BDSM role playing, we live in a narcissistic fantasy world. Ain't that the truth? Nothing of deep substance. As I've mentioned, no function, no substance. It was all an illusion of power, dress up, role play, and escapism. Exactly what I've been saying. When I read this letter, I'm going to continue in a bit. I was like, wow, this is exactly, I didn't have to be a DOM to understand and know that that is what lurks behind the curtains and what the majority, if not all, individuals that enter these realms seek. And wait.
You know what? I'm gonna give credit where credit is due. That was the first time that they fucking, like, suggested that maybe everyone doesn't do the same thing. Holy fuck, what an insane concept. What a crazy fucking concept. They just actually said a majority, but maybe not all. You know, they're still saying a majority, but come on. Are you serious? Like, you did this shit for escapism, and you found a letter from some fucking batshit crazy bitch who also did this shit for escapism because they wanted some glamorous fantasy world. Like, bitch, I've never left the real world. I fucking stay in the real world. Like, you know what I mean? I'm trying to make change in the real world. My transness is not escapism, you know? Why the fuck do you think because it was escapism for you, that was escapism for everyone? Huh?
It gets really, really better. A world of make-believe for adults. I am 100% out of this lifestyle and community and couldn't be happier. This letter, in fact, is a tame version of what really goes on as part of the BDSM job and the LGBT culture. I did not see much love. I saw some within the BDSM and LGBT communities. What I did see was a lot of sex addiction. I saw a lot of LGBT people being used as sex toys by married men and closeted men. Once the sex act is over, the men move on to someone new and go then home to their wives and girlfriends. You know, and I've said this before, that when men think that they could become women and then they start living their lives and they think they're going to find Mr. Prince Charming, and it's like, no, all they want is to use you and to fulfill their fantasy. And she goes into it.
I mean, that's real sad. That's real sad that you think that. I'm sorry that you feel like your ex, who's an amazing fucking person, she's been making a shit ton of rebuttals. It's Alana's life. I'll show it. Actually, you know what? Fuck it. Let's show this person's channel right now. So they have an ex who is a male to female trans, and you know, they probably fucking do believe that they were just used, and they're so fucking hurt. And this is their narrative. This is what they're trying to project about because of this, right? But I'm sorry, I found my Prince Charming. You know, I was on hormones for not even a week, and I met my fucking boyfriend, and it wasn't even like, we weren't even trying to date at first. We were just hooking up, but we fell in love, and we've been dating for over 2 years now. I wouldn't be with anyone else. So shit, I'm sorry that you're bitter and shit didn't fucking work out for you, but I promise you that there's a lot of trans women out there that really want to settle down and just be with someone. It's not about fulfilling some fucking weird fantasy, but yeah, go support this person. They are the X, they are a trans woman, and they have been making a lot of rebuttal videos to this crazy fuck. But yeah, we're gonna go ahead and go back to this.
Really deep here. I spoke to many into the SCX on the side of other men, or into SCX with pre-op trans women, and asked them if they'd want a relationship with a man or a pre-op trans woman. And 99% of them did not want a relationship with a man or a pre-trans woman. It was all a SEX act.
Okay. So your fucking customers who are coming to this place that offers DOMs as a BDSM dungeon or whatever the fuck it was that you worked for, they're not looking for a relationship. They're looking for a sexual experience. What do you fucking know? Oh my god, like, I didn't realize that men going to a strip club, if a man was at a strip club fucking throwing ones, would you walk up and be like, hey, were you looking to find a girl? No, they're at a fucking strip club. They're there to look at strippers. There's a time and a place for shit. Obviously, you're not going to get the type of people that are looking to settle down. People that go to places like this, it's most likely closeted trans women or CDs or whatever that are married to women. And this is just like a fantasy that they're trying to fulfill or whatever it is. How the fuck are you going to take this and be like, yep, that's proof. It's all a sexual act. It's all just a little fucking fantasy. They're playing a little game. All these trans women. Like, oh my god. This is why we gotta fucking show that this person's fucking dangerous. This shit is insane.
In secret. With the gay man, the bisexual man, the pre-op trans woman, to gratify him before going home to the wife/girlfriend. Not one man said to me in these conversations, when I go see a pre-op trans woman, SEX worker, I want to turn them on. Instead, it was always my fantasy is to be dominated and FKED by a trans woman. The man was always in it for himself. Me, 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 me. That's all I heard.
Well, God, if you fucking go to a place to be dominated by Dominatrix and you're paying money, who the fuck is it supposed to be about? Who, like, that's pretty much like a me thing. Like, that's pretty much gonna be about you, right? Like, wouldn't that fucking make sense? I mean, I don't fucking know. Like, it's once again, you're trying to take this very extreme situation of a dominatrix and apply it to everyday trans women. You sick fuck.
The nature of the beast, right? How men use pre-op trans women and gay men for fun, then go back to their unsuspected wives, truly sickened me. These men led on the gay men, the pre-op trans women, with their BS conversations. Their wives had no idea about the web of lies the husband lives in. This is the one reason I don't treat LGBT plus people badly, even though I don't want part of the culture anymore. I believe they do have it very tough in this world.
All right, let me ask you this, though. So is a fucking man going out and seeking this from another man, a woman, or a pre-op trans woman, is that any different than a straight man cheating on their wife with a fucking another woman? Is it any different? No, it's fucking not. Like, some men, some people, it's not even a man thing. Women cheat too. Some people are pieces of shit and they cheat. And, you know, everyone's got their own little thing that makes them tick. Everyone's got their own kinks, got their own sexual fantasies and desires. And if this is what it is and they're going out and seeking that, it's fucking wrong because they got a family and they got wives or whatever it may be. It's wrong, right? But not for the reasons that you're saying it, right? Not for the reasons that you're saying it.
They're victims, as I mentioned in the begining. You know, we're all victims here. those being used by and falling for this culture. While we see the famous ones all dressed up, living in stylish homes, making millions, the real people that are not famous in the LGBT plus world are just as normal and worthy of love as you and I.
Wait, I'm confused now. I thought this person was talking about why they hated LGBT people. Like, yeah, we're worthy of love. Are they trying to say, oh, I remember what they're trying to say in this. It's that trans women, no one wants to love a trans woman, is what they're going to continue to say. No one wants to love a trans woman, that these men just wanted them for a sexual fantasy, and that's all they are to people, okay? That's what's being said here, okay? So the men are using the fucking pre-op trans women, but then they're going to go on to talk about how trans women are just fetishists and shit too. So it's a little confusing.
As a DOM, when new to the job, I just thought these guys were having fun in their own weird way, and I got to make money on the side while being put on a pedestal. Eventually, I realized it was all the symptoms of childhood trauma. Bingo! I'll repeat that again. Eventually, I realized it was all about symptoms of childhood trauma.
Oh my god, you mean the shit that you say in every video? Oh my god, did you find something that fucking reinforced your pre-held belief? And you love that shit, fucking don't you? You love that shit. This person feeds off of that shit. Like, yeah, that can be a reason to transition, not a good reason. You gotta fucking, if you want to transition, be careful. Look into everything. Talk to a therapist. Make sure that you're not trying to transition because of childhood trauma. And if you really dig into that, you should be doing it for the right reason. But who are we going to attack? Trans people or individuals who make that mistake? The responsibility is with individuals who make that mistake. It's not trans people in general. There's nothing wrong with being trans.
Being ignored in favor of fantasies that these BDSM men and women would rather play out. Instead of getting therapy for the abuse they experienced as a child, it was easier to play the FBDSM, actually, to play the BDSM fantasies in their heads over and over. Some men that saw me many times eventually grew tired of the CROSSDRESSING. From now on, I'm going to refer to that as CDs, and hated it. They long for intimacy, a soul connection with another biological woman. That is what they long for deep down in their soul. The casual sex, the risky behavior no longer cut it. The thrill of trans sex lost its appeal over the years for some of them because it was all about the physical and nothing soul level.
Thank you, Amy Ferguson. 100% confirmation. But I knew that term. It just fucking slipped me. Thank you for that because I forgot what the term was, but you just had it. And so yeah, once again, we're talking about a dominatrix. How are they gonna talk about this and be like, oh, is this what the LGBT community is about? Like, of course, like, okay, if I'm abusing drugs, I'm gonna go to a place where people do drugs. So if I go there and I'd be like, oh my god, is this what drugs are about? That's like a very ignorant perspective, right? Like, if you take that and then be like, oh, well, weed must be bad because here's this fucking junkie that does weed and he hangs out with the other fucking people and now he's shooting up heroin and shit. So you can't say that all drugs are bad just because of that, right? So if you're seeing people in a BDSM fucking dungeon, then you can't be like, wow, this must be what all gay people are like. Like, that's so dumb. Like, oh my god, but we'll continue. I don't know if I need to finish this whole thing, because if they don't fucking stop rehashing the same shit, I don't need to fucking listen to it.
Once they taste the forbidden and strange fruit, they tired of it because there's no soul connection. I know there are exceptions to the rule. I'm just sharing my experience. And those exceptions to the rules are very minimal because it's, even myself, when I was abused as a child, the individual who abused me from the age of 8 to 12 used to wear PANTIES underneath his clothing. And he would have me literally take my hand across his face or on his backside. And that was what would
I'm sorry for anyone if that was triggering, that like didn't want to hear that shit. I didn't realize that they were gonna say that, but yeah. Um, so that's why you hate trans women? Okay. I mean, I'm fucking sorry that happened to you. That shouldn't happen to anyone. That's an issue with sexual abuse, and that's an issue that is present across all genders and all sexualities. Yeah, Andy, I don't fucking know what they're talking about either. They're just rambling about shit.
Give him, you know what? I saw too much filth, too much kink, too much lies, too much spiritual sickness. I even began to feel like the molestor, that molested them, because I was taking on the role of that M. Once upon a
No, you weren't. Okay, let me tell you this. You were a dominatrix. You worked a professional job and you provided a professional service for paying customers, and you did what they wanted. It was all consenting, okay? They might have been abusing it. They might have been doing it for wrong reasons, using it as a crutch, but this person should not feel any way like that. It was a job. You need to look at it like a job, okay? You need to compartmentalize. This is not entire life. This is a very extreme, isolated incident of sexual shit you're gonna see.
time, it was a male feminizing them and performing certain acts on them. Now it was me. That started to make me feel uneasy. They relive the moments. And it's like, instead of getting therapy to get help, it's like they get stuck in this abnormal behavior, whether it's CD, whether it's transitioning, whatever it is, there's a deep, deep, messed up PTSD involved.
For you, once again.
People that would rather indulge in sexual releases instead of face their inner demons with a good therapist. I couldn't take the BS coming out of the man's mouth anymore. I can only imagine. Of course, this letter is all about my experience, but I know a lot of people will relate to it. This is for them.
Okay, so it's very confusing. Because at one hand, they say, I know this is just my experience. And then they say, but this is for people who are going to relate to me. If that's the case, fine. If you want to talk about that, fine. But what you're doing is you're saying why you left the LGBT because of this and why LGBT people are bad. See, you're not just staying in your own space and saying this is how I feel. You're going to other people's spaces and attacking them. You're attacking entire communities, and this fucking person is using it to further their transphobic agenda. That's why it's not okay.
I am a longtime follower of yours, 4 years plus, in fact. It always, and I get people that write to me that have been following me for a long time like that. It makes me feel that I'm doing something right, in spite of all the hate, in spite of everything. Even though,
I mean, what are you talking about, though? In the last 4 years, you detransitioned like twice. And every time you detransition, you talk about why fucking Christianity is the worst thing that's ever existed. And that they're hurting all people and fucking no one should be a Christian and God doesn't exist. And then you detransition again and you fucking say the opposite. You talk about how God is the only way, Christianity's everything, like the traditional understanding of Christianity, and that fucking all trans people are gonna go to fucking hell if they don't repent and change and become you. Like, the two fucking extremes are fucking insane. Do you know the mafia in Mexico and Italy and parts of Latin America that the LGBT community is taken advantage of by the mafia? And I mean, I'm sure they are. The mafia will take advantage of fucking anyone they can. I don't know much about that. I mean, I could look into it. But yeah, I'm not surprised by that, Andy.
no, I'm not a trans person or a detransitioner. I am a biological woman and hetero. The reason I follow your channel is because when I first found your channel, I was a professional DOM that dealt a lot with CROSS dressers, sissies, and men who had issues with their gender and sexuality that was unconventional, to say the least. I wanted to get into the head of these men and really understand them to provide a better experience for them. I watch many trans videos and came across yours. A part of my
Well, I'm fucking sorry to this person that this is the person that you latched onto to get your information. And which is, once again, which is why I say that this person is the most problematic and dangerous detransitioner. Because this rhetoric is going to cause more people like Lady Liberty, this fucking dominatrix, to believe transphobic shit, which is later going to cause more people to believe transphobic shit, which is going to hurt people, and it's going to lead to transphobia playing out in real life, which is why we have to understand that combating this is very important.
service as a DOM included transforming them with heavy makeup to look female, applying fake BREASTS and female clothing and fake clothing and mind control. They love that mind control. And it's really funny because one of my exes said on National Geographic that they couldn't see themselves with a guy as a guy, that they had a, so there's a lot of shaming of being who they are with, and that's where this whole,
I mean, actually, that can be the case a lot of times. A lot of times, having some repressed, like, internalized homophobia, that can definitely lead to wanting to transition to be with a certain gender. But at the same time, it actually does happen a lot that dysphoria can be so bad that you could feel uncomfortable until you transition being sexual with either both genders or one gender or whatever it may be. For me personally, honestly, as a male, as a man, I did not feel comfortable being with other men because I knew I wasn't a gay man and I wanted to experience my sexuality as a woman, you know what I mean? So I never dated men until I started to transition. That's just a personal thing for me. You're gonna have to work out shit with yourself if it is internalized homophobia or if it's just a preference or it's just a dysphoria type of thing.
trans agenda fits in. Some of them wanted their minds feminized, not just their bodies. It was a very interesting experience, to say the least, that taught me so much about the inner world of these men and their double life. And it's so true. It's so true. I mean, it's like, it's a massive FETISH, I say double life because 99% of them had wives or a longtime girlfriend that did not know about her man's FETISH for being feminized, his SEXUAL attraction to and SEXUAL activities with pre-op trans women.
God damn, the fucking spelling is getting out of hand. Like, I gotta fucking, like, I gotta think, like, oh, okay, that word, just fucking say the word. It would be way easier to get across what you're trying to say. And once again, I'm not surprised that fetishists are going to a fucking dominatrix.
His desire to transition surgically himself. No, yet that. His desire. These are men, okay, that want to take it to the point because the fantasy is so large that they're willing to go under an operating table and tell people that they were born in the wrong body.
Oh my god, that's insane. Hello Alyssa, what's up? I'm talking about this person. They are a detransition trans man, and right now they're trying to say, they're reading a letter from a dominatrix, and they're trying to say why this letter confirms that all trans women are fetishists and AGPers. So it's fucking insane. So I don't even remember what the fuck this bitch just said. It's more of the same shit. We're gonna move on. Oh yeah, I remember now. Yeah. So they're not gonna fucking go to the point of getting a surgery because it's a fucking fantasy. Most of what this dominatrix is talking about seems to be cross-dressers and shit, and then they do talk about how some of these cross-dressers do become trans women. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Like, why do you think everything is a goddamn fantasy? Like, do you think that every trans woman is fucking having surgeries and taking hormones? Because, being a cross-dresser isn't enough now. Now they have to take the hormones to further the fantasy? Come on. I mean, some people might do that, but I don't think a grand majority of trans women are doing that.
Wow. Just exactly what I've always thought. Okay, so what was it? His desire to transition surgically himself from male to female, or about his hookups with other men that were CROSS dressing too, or SEXUAL encounters on lunch breaks with macho man that topped a submissive man dressed in women's lingerie.
Man, why you gotta knock what people like? Like, damn, like, hey, I know you're trying to use this to further your anti-trans agenda, but, like, let's ask this question. Is there fucking anything wrong with these people having these sexual desires and then seeking it out from a dominatrix, paying this person to professionally and consentingly do this shit? Like, damn, if it's not your cup of tea, then fucking just have your scoop of vanilla and be happy. You know, it doesn't affect me. I don't give a fuck if these men want to do whatever the fuck they want to do. Just let them do what they want to do.
They love that lingerie. To avoid confusion to
they love it.
Those listening to you read this, not all men that saw me are the same. Some wanted surgery to be a quote-unquote woman. Some didn't. Not all wanted sex with pre-op trans women, and some did not at all have, and some did, not all, had sex with other men. CROSS dressing, and some did. They are all different, yet fall under the umbrella of being aroused, get this, by feminization. That's the key. It's not being born in the wrong body. It's the serotonin relief by being aroused by feminization.
Okay, so are you trying to say that dysphoria does not exist, and the only reason that a person transitions is because being feminized is arousing? Is arousing. So I decided to change my entire body and my entire fucking life so I could be aroused. Wouldn't that mean I'm aroused like 24/7? Because I'm fucking not. Especially with estrogen, like my sex drive is way down. So I'll go for like weeks where just sex isn't even something I think about. And then I'll go for weeks where like I want sex. But you know what I mean? Like what the fuck? Like, oh my God. The common umbrella of all these people that went to a dominatrix is that they like to be feminized. So there's no dysphoria. Oh my God. Like it's so obvious that you're just trying to take this one thing and then use it as your anti-trans agenda. So fucking dumb. Hey, what's up, Becky?
SEXUAL submission to a powerful man or an FEMDOM with her HUGEST.
Wait, hold on. Andy, which actor? Which one? I fucking love Grown Ups. No, I don't think they look like anyone from Grown Ups. I'm trying to think.
RAPON, and that feeling of being degraded whilst dressed up as a woman was what turned them on.
Good for them.
They were not attracted to biological women being degraded. They wanted to feel like a biological woman when she was being degraded on PORN videos they watch when they self-pleasured. These men imagine themselves as
they touched themselves. They yacked it.
As a SLUTTY woman being degraded, abused, or humiliated by a macho man or a dominant woman wearing a, you know what? It was never about being romanced or seduced with kindness and love.
Oh my God, you know, it's a dominatrix. Bitch. Oh my God. Listen. Nobody is going to a dominatrix and being like, hey, I have this sexual fantasy. Can you romance me and love me? Take me out on a nice date and, you know, we can go on top of a building and drink wine and, you know, in the fucking cool air and watch the skyline and what the fuck? Like, no, it's a dominatrix. People are coming there for that. And your name's Tyler. All right, what's up, Tyler? Thank you, Alyssa. Definitely do subscribe. appreciate that. Like and subscribe if you haven't. Support the channel. I am working very hard. I'm just trying to do what's right. I'm just trying to advocate for the left and push leftist ideals, and we got to combat the right. We got to combat hateful people like this and transphobia. That's what I'm trying to do here. I also make music. I am a rapper. Anyways, let's continue on.
You know, that's what typical females like. We like to be seduced with love. We like that intimacy, right? Not these individuals. You know, it's special, yes. It always about being
special. Yes.
Being abused in the fantasy and forced to submit and penetratd to a powerful figure, could be either a male or a female. Many of these men get excited by wearing lingerie under their work clothes, just like the guy who abused me when I was younger, and that no one else knows they're doing it.
I mean, this person's just talking about what a crossdresser is. Oh my God, crossdressers exist. Like, I've known about them. All right, let's continue. Let's continue and hear more about like how this has anything to do with fucking trans women.
When I see overly masculine built men wearing women's clothing in public, claiming to be women, I know it's not about gender, but a huge turn on and a thrill for them. That's what it's all about. And I'm sorry, do not tell me it's not. Do not tell me it's not.
Bitch, I'm gonna tell you it's not. Cause you're reading a letter from a dominatrix, and now you're saying that because I saw men wear lingerie for sexual reasons, when I see a trans woman out in public, I know that it's not to help with their dysphoria. I know it's not because this is how they want to express. It's because it's fucking sexual. That is your conclusion. And you're going to say, don't tell me it's not. Because fucking why? Because why? You know? Oh my God. Like, you know, not every trans woman fucking dresses stereotypically female. So, like, what about, like, a more butch trans woman that's wearing, like, jeans and, like, a baggy shirt or a baggy hoodie? Are they wearing those clothes for sexual reasons? Why? It's basically the same thing a male would wear. You know, the fact that clothing has gender alone is fucking dumb. Let's get rid of that shit. Wear what you want. Wear what you like. If you're wearing it for a sexual reason, I don't even fucking care. Do you?
I know you're shaming for not. I know you feel shame and do not want to admit it, but they're.
And Tyler, no, they're not the same thing. Oftentimes a crossdresser it's like a fetish. They do it for sexual reasons because it brings them gratification. A trans woman or a trans person, typically they'll have dysphoria, which is the disconnection between how they feel in the brain and on the inside and their physical body. And then they'll transition to alleviate that dysphoria and to just feel more comfortable and express themselves as who they want. So yeah, being a CD is a strictly sexual experience. Being trans is your entire being. You know, that's like your identity, that's your gender expression, that's who you are.
There's deeper roots to all this. And this lady has hit the nail on the head and has the cojones to, you know, express it. They start off with it in secret, but once the thrill wears off, they want to go public for a laugh or sex arousal.
Okay, now here's the part where it takes a turn for the worse. Because before, in the beginning of the letter, for the most part, it just looks like they're talking about cross-dressers, and they have a problem with cross-dressers. But now what they're going to try to do is they're going to try to say that these cross-dressers, when it gets too boring for them, they become trans women. So think about it like this. They see cross-dressers and trans women. It's like a Pokemon, okay, right? So you're a cross-dresser, and then you evolve as a Pokemon, and you become a trans woman. Think of it like that. That's what this letter is ultimately trying to say. So now you can see how everything's lining up, and this is the agenda that they're trying to push. Trans women are doing this for nefarious reasons. It's sexual and it's harmful. It is an anti-trans agenda. I want to make that very clear. So we're going to continue on and hear about how now these cross-dressers are becoming trans women.
And kick. I know this because they told me this, and some of them paid me to feminize them to a degree in public. I know there's places where CROSS dressers go and pay money to, get feminized and all that stuff. And then, the thrill becomes so high that they don't ever want to stop. They want to take it more and more and more and live the life, because it's like any addiction. You just can't stop at one. You have to continue. We would pretend
So something about that is that anything can be an addiction. Literally anything, if it becomes a problem, if it's consuming other parts of your life and not allowing you to be happy, it can be an addiction. So can wearing women's clothes and even transitioning, can you make that your addiction? Yes, there's definitely people that will do that and they'll get all the surgeries and they won't be happy and they'll detransition. This is because anything can be harmful if it's done to a degree that's overbearing.
I was an angry girlfriend that caught him cheating, and then I would force him to buy a woman's underwear at the mall and loudly talk about this while the other women in the shop laugh that I caught him cheating and he had to wear women's underwear as punishment. Then in private, after the shopping trip, the man would pleasure himself in the DUNGEON, because that's public feminization, and humiliation would be a huge turn on. This was years ago, and these days no one would care. I found these men to be obsessed and highly aroused with the idea of their ANUS is a female VAGINA, wearing female lingerie, being degraded physically and verbally.
I'm like, why? like why you gotta get into so much detail? Like, I'm not trying to hear about what the fuck these people like, man. I'm not trying to hear about how they get their rocks off, and I don't care. Like, it's just like, oh, you saw this letter and you're like, oh, my religious followers are gonna get a kick out of this. This is gonna scare them. This will make them hate gay people for sure. They're like, oh my stars, I can't believe it. Like, oh my god, it's so bad.
And living in a fantasy world of their own, where they, as a sexy SLUT woman, are treated by other macho men like she is the sexiest SLUT in the world, degraded and SEXUALIZED.
God, fuck off with the spelling.
The idea of being forced to take real or toy male private parts through their back was arousing to them. I had to make it feel like they were forced. It was part of the act. Sometimes it was very sad to watch them and listen to their painful past of abuse when they opened up about it. And that's the sad part, that reliving past abuse. I know for myself, I would, a lot of times, in order for me to reach, I would have to think of that abuse, because it's like you're so tainted. I can't even put words to it. So that's why I feel sorry for all these individuals. And I understand that there's no such thing as gender dysphoria. It's all about trauma.
Okay. So, nobody needs your fucking pity. You're not sorry, and you don't fucking care. That much is clear. If you really cared, then you'd be making videos trying to appeal to the people that you think are fucking abused. What you're doing is obvious. You're hitting the same notes over and over again to push a clear agenda. That dysphoria doesn't exist, and this is all caused by abuse and trauma, and that being trans is a way of escapism, and it does nothing but harm. You're creating more abuse. You're creating more harm. There's a lot of people that have been abused and that do transition for the wrong reasons, and we need to reach out to those people. However, this is not the way to do it. You are attacking a whole community, and when you say you feel sorry for them and you care about this, I do not believe you, because you are not caring about the individual's abuse. You're attacking an entire community. That's what you're doing. You're using people's abuse to justify you attacking a community. That is disgusting.
When and if they decided to be honest, they will tell me that they wish they were not into men's GENITALIA or SEX acts with men's. Something happened as a child, and this is where it starts. Listening to the men that wanted to medically transition. Sometimes I would shake my head at their delusional perception of what a woman is. Tell me about it. Or what it's like to be a woman and their expectations of medical transition. I know this too well. I know this too well. I found 99% of these men to be biological men, innocent children once upon a time, forever changed by their abuse at the hands of other males while growing up. I found a common theme was neglectful mothers, just exactly what I've been saying, alcoholic mothers and emotionally cold mothers. All of these men,
They had a mother who was an alcoholic and emotionally cold. And notice that the letter didn't say that, but they said that. Because they just want to take their little experience and shove it down everyone's throat. But then they want to pull back and say, oh, I'm just telling my truth. And trans people, they can't handle the truth. And I'm not trying to harm nobody. I'm just, I say things a little rough. You're a fucking dumb bitch. What you are is a dumb fucking bitch.
felt ignored growing up. And on top of that, there was always a lot of abuse by other boys or male teachers at school. Even the ones that spoke up of intense desire for surgery, I found to be living in a fantasy world, bingo, of what was the reality and risk of medical transition versus how easy they thought it would be, because they live in fantasy land. Many said that while they would love to transition, they'd be ugly women. So they don't badly want to be women. They badly want to be beautiful and hyper sexualized. Instead of doing real research on medical transition, I found they spoke to other men online and in forums on how to get hormones and chastity belts as part of their feminization. And this is so true, because the majority of them, it's all about looks. If you think about it, it's not about the emotions that women have. It's all about looks and being sexualized. I know this too well. I've been around trans women way too long, and I know exactly.
So I don't know what you're talking about, cause me and every other trans woman that I know, it's about living our lives and being better people. I'm just trying to grow and be better as a person every day. I haven't fucking thought about sex in a week. What the fuck are you talking about? It's not. I promise you. I'm getting tired of rehashing the same shit, but they keep rehashing the same shit. You know what I mean? So we're gonna keep going on this.
I mean, this female character they create that lives in their head has nothing to do with wrong brain, too much estrogen at birth. It was always child abuse that birthed the new woman in their head that takes away the pain of their inner male child. Bingo. What I've said in the past as well.
Bingo.
They were feminized as they were abused over and over. They carry the memories into adulthood and play out abuser and abused in their BDSM sessions. I didn't know that at first, but learned it in time. Once again, this is my personal experience as a DOM. And
once again, they state that it's their personal experience, but then Maritza will take this person's personal experience, and might I mind you that their personal experience is why they don't like LGBT people and why they left the community. But anyways, Maritza will take this experience and try to say, this is everyone, this is every single trans woman. So the fact that you can acknowledge that it's a personal experience, but then at the same time say that this means that everyone acts like this, it's do you not recognize that? Do you not understand how contradictory that is? I think we're just dealing with a stupid fucking person here who has an agenda against trans people.
And I've never been in a DOM, but I've been in relationships with many people in the LGBT community, and I know exactly that is. And I've always, because of my psychological background, I've always known this to be a fact. I found 99% of these men into feminization to be atheists, no spiritual connection to any at all. And actually, I find it different. I find that a lot of these individuals, their shaming stem from being raised in a religious household. Me, myself, I always pray to God. Not consistently, but I prayed over the years. What I found to be the case with these atheist sex addicts into feminization over time is this. For me, I have reached states of pure bliss via prayer and spirituality. I know the joys of this world, and it's not as intense as the spiritual realm. Amen to that. That is why I'm not a sex addict. These men can't connect to the spiritual. A lot of these men were also highly intelligent, above average, in fact. They saw themselves as too smart for religion. And that's when you get a lot of the IT techs, and video gamers, and yeah, the typical
Video gamers. I mean, I don't know, but yeah, I think spirituality is important. I don't really care what people believe. I definitely believe in the universe, and like I believe in God and spirituality. I believe that there is a spiritual realm, and I like to meditate, and I love nature because I feel more connected to my spirituality. I believe in souls and everything like that, and that's why being trans, I think, helps with that, honestly, because the way I see it is that like everyone's got their soul, but the body is just a body. The soul is the driver, the body's the car. So if like my soul is like a female soul or whatever, but I have this male body, at the end of the day, that's okay, because like if I take hormones, feel a little bit better in this car, at the end of the day, the driver is still a female. So like nothing can ever change that. Everything physical on this earth is gonna waste away one day. Everything. That's why I feel so connected to my soul, and I can sense energies and vibes from other people very strongly. So yeah, so maybe these men are going to this dominatrix and shit because they're lacking that soul connection, that spiritual connection. But this has nothing to do with being trans whatsoever.
typical default look of these individuals, not being able to feel euphoria from God. They needed that high from the physical world and the endorphins released of sneaking around behind their wife's back, sneaking around to get feminized, risky sex in dodgy and dirty places like GLORYHOLES, one night stands, and whoever new lingerie to wear. Oh yes, new lingerie to wear is where they found the euphoria. As you and I know, that high is very fleeting, and the void inside keeps growing inside of them. So
like I said earlier, anything can be abused and anything can be done wrong if it's done for the wrong reasons. So if you're searching for that high in these materialistic things, that's always going to be a fleeting high. You can say the same thing for like spending money. People think if I just get more money, if I just get richer, I'll be happy. If I buy this, if I buy that, you're going to get little highs and little endorphin boosts from buying the things, but you're always going to come back down, right? So you got to do things for the right reason, and that goes for everything.
they engage in riskier and riskier behavior. More partners, more men, more lingeries. They go from seeing only the good-looking pre-op trans woman to anything that moves, an old and ugly man in a dress that advertises himself as a SEXY trans woman. Once this closeted CD arrives at the doctor for the service, it doesn't matter. It's an old and overweight man in a dress that will whatever him during lunch break while he's wearing his stuff,
What the fuck are we talking about here now? Like, God, this shit's getting so graphic. Like, oh my God. Okay. Okay. Isn't that their personal life?
And just wants to have a release. Then back home to the wife. I recall one.
Yeah, piece of shit cheating on his wife. Straight men do this shit too. It's not different.
Man in CDing or CROSS dressing that was so used to being a bottom for pre-op trans women, SEX workers, and biological men that he has not had a relationship for 15 years, and his life is one casual encounter after another. It's really
God, can you leave this man alone? How about someone fucking help my mans? Why the fuck, why are we fucking attacking this man? He's probably got some, emotional stress, and he's trying to, cope with it in unhealthy ways. He needs Jesus, not hate. Y'all sending him hate, judging this man.
really sad. The pre-op trans woman he loves to be, by do not really like being tops, but do it to make money. And that's why they contract all sorts of diseases. It's a sad situation. The trans woman of his dream does not exist. A pre-op trans woman with large, that looks like a feminine woman that wants to dominate a man in bed. I feel sorry for him, but he makes no effort to change. For me, being a DOM, although a heterosexual one, I consider myself a part of the LGBT lifestyle because I was playing with gender roles and taking on the more masculine role, especially when I had my, belt and dominated the man. Just so
You've worked as a dominatrix. That was your job. It's a job. You did what you were supposed to, okay?
your viewers know, a DOM doesn't and shouldn't engage in sex with the men because the men are being feminized. I behaved in a very masculine manner even though I am a biological female.
God damn it. This bitch mouth is all... It's all out of tune with the voice.
The few DOM...
God, do I have to like... Alright, I was at 29:40. Let me try to just read the page. Alright. And then
taking on the more masculine role, especially when I had my, belt and dominated the man. Just so your viewers know, a DOM doesn't and shouldn't engage in sex with the men because the men are being feminized. I behaved in a very masculine manner even though I am a biological female. The few DOMs I came across and spoke to in length were bisexual or part or L of the LGBT. I was one of the hetero ones. We shared stories about our appointments. Some of these women did things filthier than I did. It is one of the most spiritually unclean things I've ever done.
You're the one that went into this profession. Nobody fucking made you. It's like, imagine becoming a fucking dominatrix and then realizing like, oh, people like weird sexual shit. No fucking shit.
Filthy. I would advise women that are married to CDs not to engage in intimacy with their husband, boyfriends, as they might catch some form of STD. The level...
That sounds like some fucking like homophobia. I mean, like they're saying CDs, but... Because they're going to catch a fucking STD? Why? Because CDs are nasty? I don't know, whatever.
Filthy behavior I saw has turned me into a celibate woman for the last 8 years. Most of these types of men are also pathological liars. Yes. And
yes. Oh, what are you fucking referring to your ex? Because you fucking hate her? You seem mad salty that your ex fucking up and left your ass. Usually narcissists get upset when things like that happen.
Enjoy sneaking around behind the wife's back. I've seen the smirks on their faces when they tell me the wife doesn't know and has no clue. When I would pull out the I would see on the CONDOM that was covering it after it went in, where. There's no way people can think it's normal or clean. That part of the body is to eliminate waste. It's disgusting. It really is. The BD...
Like, if you prepare for sex right, and you know what you're fucking doing, it actually is clean. Also, I hope you know that straight couples engage in this a lot, especially more so nowadays. This seems like a very sought after thing, but yeah, let's continue.
SM culture was always on the fringe of society, hidden, illegal, and seen as bizarre, evil, and sick. I'm shocked but not surprised it's being normalized and keeps creeping into the mainstream media, fashion, and art. I found BDSM to be a coping mechanism for childhood.
Well, here's the thing, is that the fact that it's being normalized, it is something that happens in this world. So if we do normalize it, it might be a little less harmful to people that engage in this kind of behavior, because it's not healthy to have people feeling bad about things that they're doing and little sexual fetishes or whatever it may be that they're attracted to, and then they're going to go sneaking around, and the potential that people are going to abuse it is much more higher than if it was something that wasn't so taboo. That's just how it goes. When things become more regular, they get abused less. More taboo things will be abused more. So, like, if you want people to be more healthier, it probably is a little bit better if we normalize BDSM.
Abuse. Myself, I was badly abused as a girl, and the role of DOM made me feel powerful. And I think, as many FTMs, that's one of the reasons they want to become a man, so they could feel powerful, because we've been taken advantage of. The feeling of power was real at first to me, and intoxicating, invigorating. I thought I really was powerful and controlled, dominant, but over time the veil lifted as I would talk to these men as humans and not clients. I tortured these men the way I'd been tortured. I degraded them the way I was degraded.
Now, obviously, this person is starting to feel bad because they clearly had some sort of struggles, and so they thought that being a dominatrix might be something uplifting and they could feel powerful, and it did make them feel powerful. But then they started talking to these people, and then they started to feel guilty because they were doing the same things that were done to them. Issue is that these are a paying customer, and you're only doing what they're asking you to do, so you should in no way feel bad. And if you were gonna be a dominatrix to feel powerful, I mean, I guess people do that, that's fine. There's a lot of different things in this world that can make you feel powerful, and sometimes they're not the best things, right? Dominatrix, I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with that. It might have just not been the best thing for you. If that's the case, then move on with your life, right?
I spat on them the way I was spat on. I messed with their head the way my head was messed with. It felt so good to release my pain onto them, and they loved it. Over time, I realized we were playing out the roles of our abuse.
I mean, that might have been what you were doing, but it could have been that people just wanted that from you. That's just how they got their rocks off. Like, once again, like, you provide a service and they paid. That's about it. Like, I don't know why, if you might have been doing this because you said that it felt good to treat people how you were treated, right? So that might not be the best reason to become a dominatrix.
I was playing the role of finally having power, and these men played the role of being SEXUALICD and feminized by the abuser. I took on the role of my own abuser, while these men were the hamster on the wheel, playing out their abuse of being SEXUALICD and feminized as boys over and over again. I learned a lot about male psychology in this role of DOM, and while it did help in the healing process, it came at a huge price.
What the fuck did you learn about male psychology from being a dominatrix? Did you learn about psychology of sexuality or CDs maybe? I mean, that seems like a broad statement.
Lost my innocence. I trust no man. I lost my innocence. I trust no man. And the sparkle in my eyes is long gone from all the filthy things I saw men do to themselves and each other. I've not had a compliment about my beautiful eyes over 15 years. The light is gone. I would like to finish by saying that there is a hidden world in male-on-male SEX abuse, as well as a female-on-female SEX abuse, female-male SEX abuse that is not given the same attention as the male-on-female abuse. All are equally worthy of acknowledgement, and as a human family on earth, it is time we heal this wound. And that's what I've been trying to say for the longest time. People hate me. People just don't realize that what I'm doing is a service of trying to open your eyes into what you are allowing to take place, whether it's through the children that are being used right now, or whether it's through you as an adult. You need real help.
What the fuck are you talking about? Okay, so because CDs and this dominatrix had this experience, what are you talking about? So, like, fucking, because being trans and being gay and being LGBT, we're allowing this to happen. That's what you just said. That is what you just said. There's no way that me living my life as a trans woman is allowing this to happen.
Treat LGBT people with respect and kindness, as I know why they behave the way they behave. I don't think their lives are easy. In fact, their lives are generally very difficult. I just can't buy into the rhetoric, the glitz and the glam anymore, because I know the community is sugarcoating a lot of dark.
Okay, so obviously in the mainstream, you will see that glitz and glam shit, right? They'll portray being LGBT as this glitz and glamorous thing, but obviously being LGBT is not any different than being straight. You're just a person. You're just a person that is a little bit different. You're a little fucking queer, right? You're a little fucking different than the average person, because it's just a fact that most people are straight and cis. It is a minority to be LGBT. So if you're fucking looking at that and you're like, oh, well, this is what the community is about, and I love the glitz and the glam, and then you see that it's just normal shit, like, yeah, you might be a little disappointed, but that's not the reason, right? You gotta uplift shit. We are trying to uplift the LGBT community because the LGBT community has been struggling with a lot of shit. So when you do see like people living their life and the glitz and the glam, it can be helpful for some people, but that shouldn't be your reason for being involved with the community because it's glamorous, right? It should come from a more genuine place.
Darkness, yes. Unhappiness, yes. suicidal thoughts, depression, domestic violence, emptiness, trauma from younger years, and misery. The rainbow looks beautiful, but doesn't have a lot of gold at the end. I found it to be a dead end road, in matter of fact. That is why I want it out and never to go back in it again. LGBT plus people I found to be the most in need of true love. Yes, true healing.
So can we fucking show them love? Like, yeah, I'll agree. Like, especially like trans youth, like they're hurting and they need love. And a lot of that comes from a world that feels like it was made for straight cis people and trying to find our place in that world. So once again, we need to normalize these types of things, and we need to make sure that we say, hey, are you doing it for the wrong reason, or are you doing it for the right reason? Do what's best for you. You know, we need to be preaching things of love. You're poisoning the well further. You know what I mean? You are hurting people more. You are not fixing anything. You are not helping, okay? We need love, and you're not giving it. This is not love. So you're gonna say that you think that these people need this and they're hurt, but what you really saying is, yeah, these people need to stop being trans because all trans people are bad. That's my trans agenda. No. We need to show people genuine love, okay? And the church needs to show LGBT people love. Like, we need to stop having kids grow up thinking that they're gonna go to fucking hell for being themselves. That is so psychologically damaging.
And inner peace. I wish them the best. I truly do. The best love is spiritual love. Humans will always fall short. Yes. Keep making your amazing videos, Maritza. Even with all the hate you get, you change lives. Your enemies of today could be your best friends in the future. So then I wrote back to her, and then they wrote back to me. And I don't know if I want to read this other. It's pretty long. But you get the gist of it. You know, right here, they so this is interesting here. All right, she mentions, I noticed they fall into, I forgot to mention in the other email that men that had a strong desire to be women in transition, I noticed they fell into two categories. When it came to sex, category 1 wanted sex with men only while dressed up in women's lingerie. And category 2 wanted sex with women only, but in my session with them, I would penetrat them with a strap while acting like a bitsh. No romance or kissing. It's about degrading them. And so I've always said that, you know, there's just like this deep-seated hatred that trans women have towards women. So they're living up.
What the fuck? Okay, let's hear what this person's about to say, but they're saying right now that trans women have a deep-set hatred for women. I don't know about you, but I fucking love women. I think women are a shit.
This degraded fantasy. For category 2, the thought of transitioning and having sex with men revolted them. It had to be a woman only.
Oh, and Tyler, yeah, I know. That face. That face. Look at this face. Look at that face. Oh my god. Look at this bitch. Alright. Yo, look at this bitch. Oh my god. Someone screen cap that. Alright.
See that. And then there's a dominant woman while he would be submissive. It was the idea of being a lesbian that was a huge turn on. Also, I found the ones that wanted sex with men when they CROSSED dress saw them.
Okay, honestly, I can't take much more of this shit. They're just gonna fucking conclude all of this shit into why this is all fucking trans women. Um, the way I feel about this as a trans woman, this is fucking perverted and this is sick. I feel disgusted when I first saw this, watching it as a fucking trans woman, that this person would fucking try to tell me that trans women are all about this sexual shit. Like, it feels so icky and disgusting. Like, I just want to be a trans woman. You're taking something innocent and you're making it fucking gross. Hold on, let me dislike this shit. So here's my fucking comment that I left. I said, you just hypersexualized all trans women. I've been with my boyfriend for 2 years and we hardly have sex as much as we used to. But I wake up every day and tell him how much I love him. So please explain to me how I'm a trans woman for sexual reasons. And also explain how my boyfriend is still with me if he doesn't want a relationship with me. I don't know if you caught it, but at the beginning, they did fucking say that, like, men only want to use trans women for their sexual, like, experiences, for whatever the fuck. So I was like, yeah, please explain this shit to me. You know what I mean? We're like a normal couple. You don't get it and you refuse to listen. You only want to express your one-dimensional narrative. That's what you're doing. You don't seem to understand that you are not in a hetero relationship and that you are providing your boyfriend with what he needs. Exactly what Lady Liberty is speaking about, which is what? If he was with me for a sexual fantasy, why the fuck do you think he would stay with me on this hard road? We're fucking struggling, man. We're struggling to make, we poor as shit. Like, we deeply love each other. That is my best friend that you're talking about, and that's not okay. Constantly trying to defend your narrative when it's clear as day. You can't seem to be your true self. You are trying to escape from the pain by doing what you do, but you can't admit to yourself. You need healing, not substance abuse or to pretend you are someone you're not. Okay, I mean, like, geez, like, if you thought I was having trouble being my true self, bitch, who the fuck is like me? Name one trans woman that's like me. If I'm trying to be a trans woman, whatever the fuck I think a woman is, I'm not doing a very good job. I've said this a million times. I want to be Janae, and motherfucker, I'm Janae. Alright, where are we at? Where are you getting all this from? You have no clue my intentions or my personal life. What am I providing my boyfriend? And it's not even about defending my narrative. I'm just a human. I'm just saying that you can't take a whole group and say they doing blank for X reasons. That's completely insane. No, it's not. Hey, they just said that it's not insane to say that a whole group is doing this for that reason. They just said that that's not insane. No, it's not, and it's proven. The information is based on behavior and psychological assessments done by professionals. Watch the video. Listen closely. It's so funny. We just broke down the whole video. By psychological... Oh my god. It's a video about a dominatrix talking about their experience being a dominatrix. It will give you some great insight. I hope you're not that far gone. What's insane is adults to be believing they are something they are not in order to deal with trauma like you did. You crazy bitch. And then this person fucking jumps in the fray. With all due respect, this video is not about you and your boyfriend. It's not about all CDs or all trans women. That's what they tried to make it about. This person literally tried to make this shit all about, like, oh, this is what all fucking trans people are like. Oh my god. It's about sex workers' experience. Yeah. That's what it was. But then it was used for something nefarious. With denying their childhood abuse and choosing fantasy, choosing to play out their abuse. Alright, I don't need to fucking read all this. Like, are you fucking dumb? It wasn't just stating this is my experience. They tried to say that this is fucking why everything... This is why trans women are the way they are. This is all trans women. That's what they were fucking saying. I said anyone who is transitioning to escape shouldn't be transitioning and probably isn't really trans. My issue is you say that's the reason. Like, no, it's not the reason, but it's a reason, but not everyone's. The person was hella against God when they were trans. There's clearly something deeper going on. They keep flip-flopping. I mean, they don't seem to be stable anyway. Like, they seem more adjusted as Mark, to be honest. And that's what I was talking about there. Like, when they were Mark, they were hella against God. Maritza, they fucking love God. Like, can you stay consistent? Like, okay, be whatever fucking gender you want, but can your views be somewhat fucking congruent with something? And then, oh, they deleted that comment. Unable to see past themselves. Oh my god, because they called me a AGP-er. Oh, or was I just making a joke? I don't know. But after that, they fucking blocked me. Obviously, I didn't watch the video, blocked them. Jay abuses substances and really has a lot of anger issues. Check out their channel. I have no patience for childish behavior. Bitch, I have intelligent arguments and you just said dumb shit. Like, fucking read this.